bottles of water if you'd like me to bring some water. If anybody is really feeling the need of some water, please shout. Okay. We're just waiting now for
move the chair just a little. Okay. there's two more seats. Just two more seats. And there's also family. Right, yes, so this says family, but all the families here, then anybody may sit here. And also, if you go outside here in the little yard, and you can stand on a bench. And you can also look through in this.
shout out the families. Which is beautiful, so you can follow on the pamphlet. I'm Nolene. Oh, oopsie, thank you. This is the microphone. If anybody wants to speak, you turn it on.
I'm Nolene, a friend of Dora's and Marc's, but especially Dora. Just a few housekeeping rules. I would like to ask you all to make sure your cell phones are off or on silent. Please don't open the windows that side because the noise is too loud for the sea. Then we won't hear anything. Toilets are in the courtyard if anybody needs a toilet. Okay. Okay. Marlies is Marc and Dora's daughter. And I would just like us to all be silent for a few minutes to think about her and her husband, Jean, to think about the two of them who can't be here with us. But we would like to close our eyes and we would like to welcome the two of them here today. On behalf of Dora and her family, I would like to welcome you to this memorial service for Marc and to say thank you so much for attending. We will hear some tributes from Marc's family, friends and colleagues. There will also be a video presentation. I will now ask Mel Walton to come and say a few words on behalf of the Heroldsbay community.
Thanks, Nolene, I don't need that.
No, they do. It's for the videos.
Oh, okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon, Dora, Etienne, Sarah. On behalf of the Friends of the Heroldsbay Gardens, on behalf of our Mosaic group, on behalf of our book club, Born to Read, on behalf of the Stella Maris Catholic community of Heroldsbay, I would like to pay tribute to a very special person, Marc. There he is, smiling at us. And he came as a gift to all of us at Heroldsbay, a hidden treasure, who some of us were privileged to find. A scientist, a professor, a teacher, a researcher, a home gardener, and a botanical explorer of biomes that we don't even know about, and that will still later, in many years to come. He was so far ahead of his time that we were very privileged to have him to guide us. And when he and Dora came and built a home at Manati, nestled in a coastal forest surrounded by the fragrance of fynbos, we wondered, who was this quiet Belgian man and who was his South African wife? We locals, the Heroldsbay crowd, we like to know who's come in our midst so that we can discuss who they are. And we discovered that Marc was more African than Belgian. I learned to know Marc through our shared love of trees and plants, and of Dora, who became my friend. And you know, Marc never loudly proclaimed his achievements. I only knew how clever he was much longer, years afterwards. And he was always humble in a group. When we had a braai, he was like on the outskirts, but he was always there, very much a presence. And he never was seeking the limelight, but he was helpful in very many little ways, especially to some of us old widows of Heroldsbay. He explained the tech of telephones and computers. He was way ahead of us. But mainly, he became our doctor of nature, who helped heal our ignorance with information and knowledge when ours was pretty limited. You know about Risabiki Gardens, eh? Well, we all started that and none of us had any botanical kind of degrees. And then we were slowly getting this information from the real botanists. And I think Marc was definitely the top one. The trees at Risabiki Garden were identified, classified, and labeled by Marc. And I'll tell you a bit about that. When we were labeling the trees, we kind of were like a little group following the leader, and Marc was saying, this is the whatever it was, and this is this, and I kind of hesitated next to him and said, Marc, I always get muddled up between the butter spoon and the spoonwood. And he turned around and he looked at me, a little bit like he's looking there, and he looked at me and said, Mel, what's this business with common names? Common names that we are using here are different to the names in Cape Town and in Port Elizabeth and in Pretoria. So if you're a botanist and if you're a gardener, give a tree its proper name. And that one that we're looking at now is the Cassin Chionoides. So we're learning. I just have to pray, Dora, that his peaceful spirit, Marc's peaceful spirit, will linger here in the milkwood green belts of Heroldsbay. And I hope that that spirit will bring comfort to all of us who knew him, but especially to you, Dora. And finally, I would like to reassure you, Dora, and your children, and your family, and Marc's family, and colleagues that have come so far to be with us this afternoon, that we at Heroldsbay will be here for you, Dora, in the days, the lonely days, and the sad days that lie ahead. when you return from Holland with that marvelous memory of the little baby, we will surround you with our love and support. And thank you for becoming one of us here at Heroldsbay. I ask God to bless and to comfort you in your grief.
I now call upon Dominique, Estia, Etienne. They will do a reading from the Book of Wisdom.
Good afternoon. Leitura do Livro da Sabedoria, capítulo 9, versículos 13 a 18. Versão padrão revisada, edição católica. Pois, qual homem pode aprender o conselho de Deus? Ou quem pode discernir o que o Senhor deseja? Pois o raciocínio dos mortais é inútil, e nossos projetos são propensos ao fracasso, pois um corpo perecível pesa a alma, e esta tenda terrena sobrecarrega a mente pensativa. Mal podemos imaginar o que há na terra, e o que está próximo encontramos com trabalho. Mas quem imaginou o que há nos céus? Quem aprendeu o teu conselho, se não deste sabedoria e enviaste do alto o teu Espírito Santo? E assim, os caminhos dos que estavam na terra foram endireitados, e os homens aprenderam o que te agrada, e foram salvos pela sabedoria. Palavra do Senhor.
Prediker 9 vers 13 tot 18, die hersiene katholieke uitgawe. Want watter mens kan die raad van God leer? Of wie kan onderskei wat die Here wil? Want die redenasies van stervelinge is waardeloos, en ons planne sal waarskynlik misluk. Want 'n verganklike liggaam belas die siel, en hierdie aardse tent belas die denkende verstand. Ons kan nauweliks raai wat op die aarde is, en wat byderhand is, vind ons met moeite. Maar wie het nagespeur wat in die hemel is? Wie het u raad geleer, tensy u wysheid gegee het en die Heilige Gees van bo gestuur het? En so is die paaie van wat op die aarde is reggemaak, en die mense is geleer wat u behaag, en deur u wysheid gered.
The Book of Wisdom. For what can man learn the counsel of God? Or who can discern what the Lord wills? For the reason of mortals is worthless, and our designs are likely to fail. For a perishable body weighs down the soul, and this earthly tent burdens the thoughtful mind. We can hardly guess at what is on earth, and what is at hand we find with labor. But who has traced out what is in the heavens? Who has learned thy counsel? Unless thou hast been given wisdom, and sent thy Holy Spirit from on high. And thus the path of those on earth was set right, and men were taught what pleased thee, and were saved by wisdom. I'd like to say a few words on behalf of my family. How do you condense someone's life into words? How does anything I say here match up to the man we all knew and loved? Everyone here today is a testament to the impact my dad had on this world. You sometimes hear that someone made a difference, but never has it been more true than when talking about my dad. Seeing everyone here and everyone around the world who have reached out since the tragic news, it is amazing to see the person we knew at home was the same amazing person the world got to know. My dad was a humble person. He never looked for the spotlight and never wanted his name to be the prominent one. My dad was also stubborn in doing what was the right thing. This led to one of our small disagreements. And today I get to give back some of his own medicine by doing the right thing. At our wedding, we asked my dad to say a few words, but very clearly told him there's no need to thank anyone. We will do this during the reception. He was insistent that it was the right thing to show gratitude to everyone that came, and despite our objections, went on to spend half of his speech saying thank you. And today, if my dad had any say in the matter, he would have told me, Etienne, don't talk about me. Talk about the people I was proud of and the things I loved. Sorry, Pa. This is about you, and we love you. So I get to do the right thing, and I will share how proud we are of you. My dad was dependable and supporting. He was the best type of parent, the type that you always knew was there for you. For the longest time, I felt I'd achieved so many things by myself. But I've come to realize I never was alone in those moments. He was there behind me, a step back, standing by to catch me if I fell. But when I succeeded, the merit was all mine. He never needed the credit, and that is why he was such a great mentor and father figure to many. He took immense joy and pride in the success of those around him. He was the ever teacher, using every opportunity to share his knowledge without making you feel taught at. I have strong memories of sitting with him in our back garden, testing soil samples, feeling like it was a fun game of playing with mud. But Dad was there teaching me all about soil acidity, salinity, and clay types. He taught me how to be a good person, to care for others, and that it is okay to feel. He was not a macho man, the typical strong man that South African culture encourages. He was never one to show emotion, but in recent years, he had been opening up and showing us what he really felt. He was a brave man and taught me that bravery is not being the strongest, the one that fights. Bravery is doing the right thing, even when you are scared. Bravery is doing the thing when doing the right thing when no one else will. My dad believed and lived that doing the right thing is what made society a success. This was never more clear than when my dad stood up to our neighborhood bully. After a long time of trying the civil thing and escalating threats of violence against my dad filed a police report. Everyone else was too scared to confront this person. A day later, 2 police friends of the guy showed up at our door and threatened my dad, both with violence and making his life unbearable. He was not intimidated. He did not get angry. He listened to their wrong point of view. And the next day, he went back to the same police station and filed a police report against the corrupt police officers. That is doing the right thing. That is being brave. I'm sure he secretly wished to release his inner Jack Reacher. Something many of you don't know is that the stoic and always calm Marc loved a good Jack Reacher novel or a Skopskiet en Donner movie. Pa, ek gaan jou mis. The cricket in the backyard, the hours on the roof adjusting the TV antenna so I could watch the boring cricket. The lessons that I didn't know were lessons. Introducing me to computers and setting me on a career path that took me away from nature conservation. The support every step of the way. Never trying to make me someone I'm not. I would never change the past. I would just wish for a longer future with you. You will never be forgotten. While you are not here with us, you will always be here with us. We love you. I would like to read a letter on behalf of my sister. Ek het 'n brief van Marlies wat ek graag wil lees. Dankie aan almal wat hier is vandag, in persoon of online, om ons as familie vandag te ondersteun en afskeid te neem van die wonderlikste pa op aarde. Ek wens sodat ek ook nou daar in Suid-Afrika kon wees. Al wat ek meer wens, is dat ons nie afskeid hoef te neem nie. Ek het die voorreg gehad om vir 36 jaar die wêreld met 'n pa te deel, van hom te leer en sy liefde te ervaar. Hy kon in ruil sien hoe ek groot word en my eie nes in die wêreld skrob. Maar dit voel veels te vroeg en soos veels te min tyd saam. Daar was nog so baie om saam te beleef, veral die geluk om binnekort sy eerste kleinkind te ontmoet. Ek is 'n dagdromer en alhoewel ek ver van my familie afwoon, is ons 'n baie gehegte familie. As ek en Jean 'n nuwe plek ontdek wat ons besonders van hou, sê ek altyd vir hom dat ons my ouers daarheen moet vat. So ek het al nuwe drafroetes vir my pa in Nederland uitgewerk. Of 'n nuwe pizzaplek gevind om hom heen te vat. Ek het onlangs 'n nuwe restaurant ontdek wat aan die einde van 'n heerlike stappie lê. Een van my laaste dagdrome was om langs my pa daarheen te stap, terwyl ek self 39 weke swanger in hierdie dagdroom is. Ek het ook oor die toekoms gedagdroom. Eerste verjaarsdag in Suid-Afrika. Eerste vakansie alleen by oupa en ouma. Dit maak so seer dat die toekomsdrome nie meer realiteit kan word nie. Maar my pa was 'n opregte mens wat gegrond was in sy waardes en sy beginsels. Deur die waardesisteem aan my kind te leer, kan en sal ek my pa in gees lewendig hou. Hy sal altyd in ons harte met ons deur die lewe loop. Deur al die boodskappe wat ons as 'n familie ontvang het, was dit duidelik dat my pa so baie vir so baie mense beteken het. Hy het verskillende passies en missies in die lewe gehad. Vir my ma lief te wees en te sorg, om 'n mentor te wees, om natuurbewaring te bevorder. Maar sy missie vir my was om my te laat lag. My pa het my altyd laat lag, dat ek nie asem kon haal nie. Hy kon nie genoeg daarvan kry nie, en sou oor en oor probeer om my weer te kry lag, sodra ek asem geskep het. My pa sal wil hê dat ek aanhou lag en nie nou hartseer deur die lewe gaan nie. So alhoewel ek jou ontsettend baie gaan mis, het ek net een woord vir papa. Hee!
Eintlik het Etienne gesê wat ek al wou sê. You all knew Marc. And what he was outside the home, he was in the home. He was consistent. He was such a gentle soul. Like our garden in Nelspruit. Lucky was going to be here today, but they missed the flight because of missed something. En Lucky het altyd gepraat van meneer Stalmans met die soete stem. Maar mevrou Stalmans, wow, ja, want hy het ons goed geken. En Marc het hiernatoe gekom in 1984. He arrived in South Africa in 1984, but he had a long history with South Africa because his parents always came for holidays and he never settled in Belgium. He wanted to be here. His sister will attest to that when she talks. But he hitchhiked through South Africa with a backpack to try and find a job in South Africa. And what was told to him, sorry, we don't have a job for you at the Parks Board because it's apartheid. And we reserve these jobs for the best white South Africans. So, sorry, we can't help you. And you, in any way, have a forestry degree, and now you want to do nature conservation. That's not going to work. But Anthony Hall Martin, at that time, was a great elephant guide, Dominique. You must have heard of Anthony Hall Martin. He advised Marc, because Marc, by the way, as a student, he went to Addo for 2 months to do Anthony's dirty work. No good South African young guy wanted to do that because it was thorns and it was really not nice, but he loved it. There he was served 500 to a kilogram of eland steaks, and he could eat. At that time, he always loved food, so he could eat that. And then he decided, when in 1984, he finished his degrees, and there was no job for him in Belgium. He said to his dad, buy me one flight ticket to South Africa. I want to find a job in South Africa. So he hitchhiked, and Anthony then said, no, sorry, you can go to Hannes de Beer and ontwikkelingssake. What, Jeremy, what was it called? What?
Development aid.
Development aid. Because that was, in those days, the places where no South African wanted to go and help. But he was prepared to uplift people, start a new reserve. Lake Gelemetse was a new reserve. And he moved in with half a container of IKEA furniture and with no curtains, no nothing, and loved it. But he was a bit lonely because he, like Adam, he looked for a wife, but he could never find one. And one weekend in 1985, a friend of mine said, I was invited to Lake Gelemetse for the long weekend. That was in July, when is the long weekend? June. And I said, I'm at the loose end, let me go. So we went there, and the guy who had to meet us, Stan, was always late, like me. And we waited for 2-3 hours for Stan. And I said to Jackie, you know what? Now we're going back. I'm not wasting my time next to a dirt road. Then we saw some dust, and there was Stan. Okay, sorry, I had some urgency or whatever, off to his house. And then Marc came. And I looked at this young guy and said, not bad. Blue eyes attracted me. His nice legs attracted me. You know these kort khaki broekies? Yeah. The shorts that's up to here. Wat noem hulle Tourette? Boerboel broekies. Yeah, boerboel broekies. And he was shy. But I saw he watched me. And by the end of the weekend, we both knew there was an attraction. But he never contacted me for more than a week. And I said to my sister, I'm going to Cape Town. I'm leaving this place. I want to go back to the fashion industry. I was actually quite a fashionista. And in the fashion industry, working for Edgar's at that time as a buyer. And then he phoned. He wants to come and visit me. I said, well, you can come, but I've got 2 other male friends coming to visit me this weekend, but you can come along too. So he arrived, and Casper, my brother here, it was his house, and he said, we're eating kudu murgbene, kudu marrow bones tonight. He took it out and he boiled it, and it was actually rancid. It was too old. Luckily for Mark, we didn't eat the kudu marrow bones. He would never have stomached it. And from there on, he came every weekend. He got up very early in the morning, started working at 4 o'clock in the morning, so that he was so conscientious. He was not going to steal any time from the development aid. He was going to leave after a full day's work, drive all the way with his little Citroen it's 150 kilometers or more to come and see me. But the second weekend he came, we were walking on the farm, Casper's farm, and we were sitting under a tree, Pedro, and I said to him, I said, why are you here? Are you serious about this? Because I don't want any guy to mess with me. I was quite a feminist, not going to marry ever. I was 30, he was 25. And I said, are you here with serious intentions or not? He said, in Marc's way, he said, I cannot tell you whether I'm serious, Vasco. He said, I can't tell you whether I'm serious. All I can tell you, I will not mess with you. I said, okay, that's a good start. So 2 weeks later, we went to Botswana with our friend Stan, with a very unreliable, where's Mike, Land Rover. And it actually did happen. In Botswana, on those sand roads, the lights went, no lights, and we had to navigate by moonlight, and we got up, I think it's a Chobe up there, and we sat next to the fire after dinner. He turned to me and he said, will you marry me? And I looked at him, I said, well, we've only known each other about a month, eh? I said, well, he said, well, explaining, being pedantic, explaining why he wanted to marry me. He said, you are not the most beautiful woman I've ever met, but I want to grow old with you. That was his words. Now, who could say no when a man tells you that? I mean, honestly. Hey, Jeremy, did you do that with Liz? Hey, Liz? So, sorry if I'm picking out old friends, but these are friends that've been with us for most of the journey. 35 years from Nelspruit to now. Gorongosa, he's been from 2006. I only went there first time 2012, but I immediately became your family, and you became my family. It is, I must write a book about this. It's a love story of a life. We have beautiful children. Etienne, Sarah make us so proud there in Barcelona. Marlies, and Jean in Netherlands, they are making us so proud. They are upstanding young adults, not young adults, middle-aged adults already. Yeah. And now we're going to have a grandchild. And it's a little boy. And Marc so looked forward to it. He so wanted to be a grandpa. But we will tell Louis what a wonderful man his grandfather was. Hey, Etienne, in our household, Christine and Patricia, your brother was our hero too. Thank you. And by the way, one day when I was very cross with Marc, I said to him, one day when I'm not here, you won't even miss me. He said, I will miss you, but I will go on. I will carry on. And that's my message to you today, being the typical teacher, is that you must carry on. These young people sitting here, Arsenia, Raul, Dominique, you go back to the park. You go tell the young Mozambicans, Marc wants you to build Mozambique. Pedro, he said Mozambique is for the Mozambicans. And it's time for young Mozambicans to take charge. And he was very honored to be a Mozambican in his heart, not on his passport, not on his nationality, but I know you accepted him as a Mozambican. Thank you. Nothing from that. Take this.
Thank you, Dora. I didn't know Marc so well, so I loved hearing all the stories. Thank you so much. This was quite special for me. I now have to call upon Pedro to speak. And Pedro's on the Park Warden of Gorongosa. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon. My English is not good, but I will try my best level to make you understand my Portuguese. Before I say something, allow me to sing a song which we used to sing with this gentleman here. And for that, I request this side to remain sitting, but this side, may you all stand and help me to sing. And I will also call conservation outcome gentlemen. Please come to this side here, because he's one of Gorongosa National Park partner who used to sing together. And I did not want to stand this side, especially because of you, Dora. Now, to those who are not feeling comfortable to stand, you can also sit. Gorongosa people, I want you to raise your voice. We will sing a song, Chitengo na Nshora. That means Gorongosa na which means that do not cry. chitengo, chitengo, chora, chitengo, ciencia, ciencia na chora. They are repeating me. If I say science, do not cry, you can also help us. You repeat what I say. If I say forest, do not cry, forest na chora. You repeat forest na chora. Science, don't cry, science. Now we have to raise our voice because that was the starting point. Now we are running. Chitengo, chitengo na chora. Chitengo, chitengo na chora. Família, família na chora. Família, família na chora. Floresta, floresta na chora. Floresta, floresta na chora. Urema, urema na chora. Urema, urema na chora. Gueregi, gueregi na chora. Gueregi, gueregi na chora. Fiscali, fiscali na chora. Fiscali, fiscali na chora. Levi, levi na chora. Levi, levi na chora. O Vasco, Vasco na chora. O Vasco, Vasco na chora. Elisa, Elisa na chora. Elisa, Elisa na chora. Ciência, ciência na chora. Ciência, ciência na chora. Ercília, Ercília na chora. Ercília, Ercília na chora. Oh, Mike, Mike na chora. Oh, Mike, Mike na chora. Fiscali, fiscali na chora. Fiscali, fiscali na chora. You, 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 you. Adora, adora na chora. Adora, adora na chora. You, 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 you. Thank you very much. Normally, when I start saying something, I used to say, I will tell you 5 things, or 4, or 3, or 2, or 1. But today is difficult to say how many things I'm going to share with you, because these men have taught us several things. I will try to mention some. In science, we did not have Mozambicans with the level of master's degree. But from this man, we got more than 40. And all of them, they are employed in Mozambique, outside of Mozambique, in national level, in provincial level, and local level. But other universities, they are fighting for employment. But graduates coming from his tutorial services, his supervision, none of them is unemployed, none of them. Which means that in science, he's done a lot. We are not talking about Gorongosa, we are talking about national level. That is to start. In conservation, I understood she was talking about names of trees. Is one of the most instructors who can tell people without claiming, by showing, by giving evidence, and the people will understand, including myself. I remember that the Kaya Anthotheca, which we call Umbawa in Mozambique, when botanists, they changed them, Marc is the one who have telling me every day that Kaya Anthotheca have Kaya Nyasika, have changed the name. Now is Kaya Anthotheca from Kaya Nyasika. Those are scientific names all over the world. Now, the local names you cannot discuss because local is local. If you go to Mozambique, the same tree have got another local name, but scientific names, they are uniform. And he was able to tell us all of those things, including planting trees. I don't know how many trees he left in Mozambique, planting trees. We're talking about conservation. Community development. This man was one of the most pragmatic men, whereby he could project biodiversity conservation and at the same time speak and defend about community development, people's need. I do remember that when we start coffee production in Gorongosa, some scientists, they said, no, don't produce coffee because coffee is exotic species. In protected areas in Mozambique, you cannot bring exotic species to Gorongosa ecosystem, to Nyasa, Marumeo, Magwe, Zinave, and other national parks. With Marc, he said, we can produce coffee because coffee will give food to people. Coffee will give money. Coffee will allow us to build a house to people, build schools, clinics, hospitals, and everything. Was Marc. If Marc could also say no coffee, Gorongosa up to now could not have coffee production. But because of Marc, we were able to proceed with the coffee. Although it's exotic species, now we have got more than Vasco. How many coffee producers, families? More than 1,000 families. And one family in Mozambique, in average, is made by 15 people. Now we have 1,000, more than 1,000 families, multiply by 15. You'll save that number. And we are doing well with the coffee. Jumping to tourism. With Marc Stalmans. Before we did not have facilities to develop tourism in the park. he was able to design, to select best spots, best areas to build our tourism facilities. One of the witnesses is here, Stalmans, Washington. Washington was with us there, and still we exchange ideas, and because of Marc Stalmans, we were able to design best areas, and we are doing better. We did not have even one area of tourism except Montebello. Now we have Muzimu and Shikari, the best areas where tourism is doing fine. I know that time, let me, before I finish, Dora and family, if South Africans are not treating well, come, we have a place to go.
Thanks, President. Thank you.
You would select where you want to stay. And Vasco will witness. Obrigado. Before I finish. Now, my final point is that I promise to proceed. As Dora said, don't stop. Proceed. Before I close, I cannot close without singing our conservation item too. And my colleagues also will criticize me if we don't. Now Gorongosa people, only Gorongosa people stand up. And the conservation outcomes. That is our national item, conservation. And this man told me, Pedro, I cannot sing well, but he said, even in school, his teachers, they said, Mark, we are going to give you 10 out of 20, because Mark said at the beginning, the teacher, I cannot sing. And he did not like to sing. But with this national conservation item, Mark was doing this. Now, I want to him like that, gentlemen. Moreremos, moreremos, moreremos todos. Moreremos, moreremos, moreremos todos. Caminho da flora e fa. Yo, 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 yo. Yo, 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 yo. Thank you very much.
Obrigada.
Obrigado. 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 Obrigado.
Greg's video now.
Jeremy? We're just going to show 2 videos first.
Sorry?
We're going to show 2 videos.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll call upon you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Greg Carr. I met Marc Stalmans in 2006. He was considered at Gorongosa National Park, an ecologist. He was amazing. A few years later, I asked him if he would consider being our director of science. And I was nervous when I asked him because he's so good. I knew he would be doing us an incredible favor if he said yes, because he could work anywhere in the world. Marc did say yes, and he led us. He's a brilliant ecologist, multidisciplinary scientist, wise, balanced leader. He's also kind, and he had an incredible sense of humor. So altogether, Mark and I worked together 19 years, and I'm certain that over that time span, we exchanged more than 10,000 emails. Because if you do the math, that's only 1.5 emails per day, and we were doing more than that. We were in a constant communication, and in all cases, I was learning from him. I respect him. I love Dora. And I will remember Mark for the rest of my life. Thank you.
If I were to be standing here in January or February, I would probably have water up to my neck. And that's a rather frightening prospect, given the size and the number of crocodiles that live in this lake area behind me.
The pursuit of science, if it's just for the sake of science, could be seen as a luxury in a national park, especially in a national park that's under restoration in a country that itself is under restoration and in development. We see science here as being very much integrated in other activities. It's not there just for the pursuit of knowledge. That's an important aspect. But it's about how do we make this knowledge relevant? How do we make that knowledge accessible? How do we use that knowledge in other fields? The inventory of biodiversity is a very important task here in Gorongosa National Park. If we don't know what we've got, it's very difficult to decide what conservation measures we should be taking. One of the other roles that science has to play is in terms of education, empowering people with knowledge. And we have a very strong focus on science education. So we have got a number of interns, students that are involved from the buffer zone, from further afield in our projects. The whole science education part is probably the most important aspect of the science program. The information is important, the data is important, the publications that are being generated are important. But at the end of the day, for the sustainability of the park, for its future, it's the level to which you can empower and transfer knowledge to Mozambican students, to Mozambican staff members. That's what ultimately will enable a team, a management team to be built that is strongly Mozambican, that has got the interest of this park at heart and believes in this park and its future.
Na luz da manhã de Gorongosa, ele caminhava. E ao entardecer, pedalava, sempre pronto para ensinar e sem com quem aprender, subestimar.
Ao consertar o meio ambiente, Stalmans deixou expressão, mapeando e contando com dedicação em cada folha, em cada ser, uma nova revelação.
A floresta fala, se soubermos escutar, na sua voz serena e no seu profundo olhar, ao contemplar.
Meditando na natureza como um desafiado, com passos largos e firmes, motivando-nos a manter firmes, colorindo nossos sonhos com esperança e sorriso.
Agora, a floresta sussurra o seu nome, no vento,
na chuva, no campo que consome.
E embora ausente, seu legado é mundo, em dados, em sonhos e na vida presente.
Honramos seu passo, sua missão de ciência e esperança, com imensa gratidão.
Marc, as you know, was probably also a member of our little company, International Conservation Services, and he was the shoulders on which this little company was formed. We relied on him for a lot of the brain power and the wisdom that came from him all the time. But when he passed, the messages kept flooding in from all over the world, and all of them said what a great guy he was, what a remarkable man, and how much he knew, and how much he spent giving of that knowledge to others and letting them know, very gently and mildly what he knew, and passing it on. Just a little bit of the sort of history of how Marc came to join us is that when he was with Development Aid, he phoned Development Aid and told them that he would like to do other jobs if they were doing jobs in other parts of Africa, and I was being sent off to West Africa. We didn't have any friends in South Africa at that stage, so we picked our friends from the dictators that lived there, I think. And I was contacted and said, look, we've got this guy, he's an ecologist, he speaks French, would you like to take him? So next trip I said, yeah, okay, we'll take Marc. And I met him at the airport and took him and Kim Wallet up to Togo. And it's when you're working in the bush with guys that you really get on with them. We were sleeping out on the deck in sleeping bags, covering ourselves. The Harmattan was blowing from the Sahara, and it dropped the temperature down to 4 degrees at night. And it was very, very cold, and we were full of banter and jokes and things like that. And, that was when we really got to know the guy. And I was so impressed with how he worked. I mean, he worked like a machine. He was out there at first light, collecting plants, making notes, testing soil, pouring water into it, going like this, squashing it, and looking how that sort of water holding capacity of the soil was. And it was really fantastic, And anyway, we ended up in a village, and the chief of the village said we were wanting to find out about the wildlife, and the chief of the village invited us to have lunch with him, and he said, come on Sunday and I'll invite all the hunters. So we went around, and he said, get there about 11. We got there about 11, and we started, and by about the fourth course, Wallace started to fade. He went white, and he sort of got up and wobbled off into the bush, and Marc stayed the course, and I managed to hang in there. And that was our sort of introduction to finding out what the wildlife was like in that area. Anyway, Marc went from strength to strength in what was then Kangwani Parks, and he collected over 1,000 plants. Many of you, aren't aware of that, but also one of them was one of the ones that's on the front page of your document, and it was named after him. And then in 1992, we foresaw that he in the same time he got his doctorate from Wits University, a very good run. We foresaw that things weren't going to pan out quite as we all hoped in South Africa, and so we formed this little company, ICS. It stayed dormant for quite a while. And then in about 95 or 96, Marc saw the writing on the wall. I'd already left by then, and joined us. And our first trip was to China. And we went there to China to look for habitats for the reintroduction of the South China tiger. Now, that was looking at what the carrying capacity of the area was, and whether there was any scope for human-wildlife conflict, what it would be. But every day at the end and it was in winter, so Marc wore shorts, and every day at the end of the day, he would go for a run. And in the end, one day we walked into a village, and the kids all just ran screaming because they saw these two white guys. And they said, the big noses are here, the big noses are here. That was us, So anyway, the one guy came up and he said, you know, I think I've seen you before. And I said, yeah, I'm John Wayne, you know. So anyway, anyway, what they gave him the nickname Flying Hairy Leg, you know, and that was what his nickname was. And you know, the amount of times he got me out of trouble on that particular trip, it was terrible, you know, because they have a way of hosting you. It's just as much as you can drink. And what they would have is this thing they call gombai, and they would sit there and they'd drink this toast and they go gombai, and then you drink it down. But they would get 4 of them and 1 of us, you know, or 2 of us. So each guy would drink a toast to us. So we'd drink 4 toasts, and then they'd start again. And by the end, you know, they were only drunk 1 each, and then we've drunk 4. And by the time they've drunk 2 each, we've drunk 8. You know, so it was a really very sort of lot of PT on that trip. You know. Anyway, I'm trying to think of some others. Then we went. One of our following trips was into Saudi Arabia, into the Rub al Khali, which is the empty quarter, which is the biggest sand desert in the world. And Belgians, I don't think in general like mutton, you know. Well, certainly Mark didn't like mutton. And what happened was we were invited, at that stage Tim Rundle had joined us, you know. So the level of banter rose up a couple of notches. And then Tim had joined us, and we were invited by the Rangers there to have a meal with them. So we went and had joined them for this meal. We sit down squat on your haunches, and they came up with this big silver plate like this, filled with rice, and on it was a boiled sheep, you know. So then the head ranger sits there and he breaks off bits and throws them to you, and you're meant to eat them. And I was just going, throw him the eyeball, throw him the eyeball. You know. Unfortunately, he threw him the cheek, so which Mark downed very well, you know. But anyway, I think, you know, where Mark made his career was, well, the lasting legacy he will leave will be in Gorongosa, because he went there in 2012, and we're all in amazement at what has happened there in Gorongosa. There are more animals in Gorongosa today than there were in the 1960s. I mean, it's just recovered so well, you know. Anyway, I'd just like to say to Dora and Etienne and Marlies, who's not with us, thank you very much for lending him to us. We really enjoyed him. He was fantastic. You know, sorry. Yeah, all I want to say is Hambagatle, Mark. Sorry. Oh, terrible. Oh, yeah.
I'll call upon Christine to give some tributes from the family.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to tell you some recollections about my brother. We have already told a lot of things. There are so many things we can share and tell. But I think, tribute to my sister as well, we gathered a number of recollections, things that we came to think of when we heard the news. So, as some people will know, we grew up in Congo. We were 4 children, which came with a difference of 2 years, more or less. So in Belgium and Flanders, they call it some organ pipes, you know, one after the other. So we were all born in Congo, and we spent there for about 10 to 15 years. Which was a very nice time, but we were quite on our own because we lived outside of town, and in those days, we just were on our own, our little happy place. And Mark was the oldest one, and as perhaps happens often to older people, I think, is just he was very responsible, and he has been always responsible, and he felt that he had to care for his younger sisters and brother. So, in fact, as we didn't have many people around and we lived a bit on our own, we didn't really mind because we had a large garden, there was a swimming pool, and, well, since we were in four, we always had company to play. And one of the things we remember about Marc is that he was he liked to be busy, for instance, with homemade wooden guns. That was something he liked to do. He was into model construction kits of airplanes. And he was already then, when at a very young age, very interested in nature. So that was perhaps his destiny from the very beginning. He had, for instance, a large collection of butterflies, which he lured with rotten bananas, for instance, so he liked that very much. Now it would not be that sustainable, I think, to catch butterflies, but that time we did. We had a lot of colorful and exotic butterflies. So that was the thing we remember now. And what could I tell? Yeah, the main thing that we remember as a child, that he liked to be the leader, as we have already seen, and the teasing. He was someone who liked to tease his brothers and sisters. Well, it made me mad often, very often, but then what do you do? And it has remained, even at the adult age, when we come together, teasing was always part of being together. He was also very active in scouting. He has been doing that until he was 18 or 19 years, until he went to university. And I think the scouting just fueled his interest in outdoor living and in conservation. That was just something, yeah, that was Marc. Then it was clear that Marc would never stay in Belgium because of the studies he took. Already he was aiming to get abroad, just because Belgium was too small for him, let's say. It is a small country, for him it was even small. So his heart was already in Africa, and that literally turned out to be the case when he met Dora. Yeah. And we know it is about Marc today, but Marc would not have become the Marc he was in later life without Dora. We are not a family for whom regular gatherings or many phone calls or long chats are really necessary. We can do without for months, but then when we come together, was it for Christmas or on holiday or whatever, that we felt again that same bond we had as a child, and the teasing was there again, the humor, his sense of humor, as you know, and we just felt it was always kind of a reunion. But it was Dora who strengthened and continues the ties, in fact. She insisted on the family reunions, really. And we couldn't have done without her, that we honestly. We would have become estranged from each other. After all, well, Belgium, South Africa, or Mozambique, it's far away. But we hope we can really that Dora will still be part of the family. We couldn't do without, and we still hope to continue to be like that, to be very close, so that we can, amongst others, recall and share fond memories of Marc. We could describe him in many words. He was a responsible man, he was consistent, he was honest, he was humble, but we saw it he shared the video with us about the wild dogs in Chitengo. He called it chariots of Chitengo. And he was maybe humble, but that he wanted to show off how proud he was, and how to boast about it, like I can run my bike with the dogs behind me and they won't catch me. He was perhaps humble, but then he liked to just show off. That was Marc. We knew him as a child as well. He was visionary. He had the ability to put things in perspective. He was a hard worker. I must say, we feel very proud and honored to say or to call him our brother. Then finally, I would like to thank all the people at Gorongosa, because that was, I think, the way you welcomed him, the things he was able to do there. I think he was very, very proud and honored to be part of Gorongosa. and to see how the park thrived and really to see how it prospered. So I think that I hope it will be his legacy. I think it will be his legacy. And so to all the people involved who supported him, muito obrigada.
I've got the privilege to speak on behalf of Dora's family. I would like to read 2 letters. Sorry. As a young girl, I used to tease my mom because she would always cry at weddings, at funerals, at baby baptisms or birthdays, and I would always tease her. But some were for niks, and I guess the apple doesn't fall very far from the tree. This is a letter from the Legranzis, from Casper and his family. The Legranzis would like to bring honor to Marc, a quiet, strong and trustworthy man, filled with a spirited yet calm heart. He brought joy to our family with his famous chocolate mousse at Sunday family gatherings, creating memories we will always cherish. We will never forget how he surprised us at Arnelda's wedding with his disguised dance moves and white gloves, a reminder of the fun and the spirit he carried. As a brother-in-law and uncle, a role model, he was an example of kindness and strength, and we will forever look up to him. And then from my mom's side, from Dora's sisters, ons was bevoorreg om Marc vir baie jare te ken. Hy was beginselvas, 'n man van integriteit, getrou, hardwerkend en loyaal. Wat ook uitgestaan het, was 'n onvoorwaardelike liefde vir Dora, vir Etienne en vir Marlies. Ons wil saam met Jan F.E. Siljeus stem. Stil broers, daar gaan 'n man verby. Hy groet en dis helaas. Daar's nog meer een soos hy, bekyk hom goed. Sorry. Ja, ons kan nie groet nie. Maar hy laat soveel agter dat ons nie anders kan as om sy lewe te eer nie. Dora, Etienne, Marlies en Sarah en Jean, julle kan sterkte hieruit put. Dank aan die Vader vir sy lewe. Mooi bly en ons is daar vir julle. Sterkte met die alleentye. En dis liefde Johan en Annemarie, Anelda en Petrus uit Nieu-Seeland en Annerie en Ori uit Griekeland. En van my kant af, Marc los ongelooflike leemte. En dis my gebed dat God julle sal vul en dat julle sy liefde sal ervaar en dat hy sal julle pyn wegvat en die tye wat kom wat ons saam gaan wees, gaan ons hom mis. En ek bid dat julle net Hebreërs 13 sal aan vashou waar die Here sê, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Be strong, I am with you, don't be afraid. So sterkte, ons is lief vir julle.
I just have one more of many tributes that I need to read out. If we had to read all the tributes that the family has received over the last few days, we would be here for another 3 days. So we were going to ask if anyone else wants to say anything in tribute, but I'm also aware that time is a thing. So I apologize for taking the opportunity away from you. And if you do feel strongly about wanting to say something, please feel free to come up. Okay. So this is a letter from a colleague of my dad. My name is Rob Pringle. I'm an ecologist at Princeton University, United States. I knew Marc for 15 years, since sharing a tent with him at Gorongosa, planning meeting in 2011 before he became director. I have too much to say about Marc and what he meant to me, personally and professionally. I have too long a list of work that I wanted to finish with Marc that I thought we'd have time for. But I will always be grateful for the time we did have, the work we did finish, and the conversations we did have. Even the awkward silences were a gift and a lesson. Marc only spoke when he had something to say. I have been trying for 10 days to condense my thoughts and feelings about Marc into a soundbite for this memorial, scanning my brain for words that capture what made him such a good friend and companion, a gifted ecologist, a hard-working and successful conservationist, a leader who was universally respected and, as far as I know, universally liked, unending competent, pulling more than his weight, going above the call of duty. I have never heard an unkind word spoken about him by nobody, not once. It is rare to find all of these traits in the same human being. Many people are successful and respected, but disliked or feared. Many people are talented, but boastful. We are all flawed. I'm sure Marc had faults, but I don't know what they are. What enabled Marc to be one of these? What enabled Marc to be all of these things at once? I offer a few key words. Humility. This one keeps coming to me over and over. Marc once told me about a word or phrase in Afrikaans, which I can't remember. I understood that it meant something like, "you don't see me," and is used to describe a person who may have towering accomplishments, but who ducks from the spotlight, never grabs for glory, always shares the credit, feels no need to be the center of attention. Even when the spotlight is seeking them, they stay out of it. Marc was using this term to describe somebody else, but he also had all of these traits. He was humble in the face of the challenges of his job. He was admiring of the accomplishments of others, and this was very real. Some people try to fake it, but the counterfeit item is easy to spot. Being around Marc also made me feel humble because of the way he carried himself, and because he understood so much more about the ecology of Gorongosa than I did ever or ever will. Pragmatism. The ability to compromise, to see and understand multiple ideas, multiple sides of a problem, and both sides of an argument, to understand people on their own terms, and not to hold their faults against them, to understand the possibility that you might not be right, even when you are certain that you must be, to continually check your own assumptions and let your perspective grow and evolve, rather than to stick rigidly to dogma. Marc was a very smart, perhaps more importantly, he was also very wise. Principle. Marc's pragmatism did not extend to compromising core principles. He thought hard about moral and ethical questions. He could be very strategic, but he never lied, never waved a false flag. He may have held a grudge or two, but he was never vindictive. He treated everyone with courtesy, kindness, and respect, whether they were a famous scientist, a billionaire, or a timid first-year student. It took a lot to make him angry. I saw it a few times. and those flashes of anger were usually directed towards people who had committed one of these sins: deceit, cheat, selfishness, nastiness, taking advantage of people. Intuition. Marc was highly intuitive about how things worked, to a degree that I really envy. This included ecosystems, but also people and social dynamics, and indeed the inner workings of his own mind. Joy. My sense was that until his last day, Marc was having fun. More so than most people at his age and stage. His sense of humor and irony, like his other traits, was not loud, but it was omnipresent. He laughed plenty. The last time we were together, he told me a story that knocked me out of my chair laughing. For the rest of my own life, I will on the lookout for ways to honor his legacy, including, privately, by asking myself, what would Marc do? Whenever I feel temptation to do something stupid or spiteful. I have done this already today.
Thank you for being so brave today, Etienne. On behalf of Dora, I would like to, from the bottom of my heart, I would like to thank all who have made today a special occasion and made our little chapel a beautiful setting for Marc. I now invite you all to have refreshments in the yard, and they are going to play a constant video in the church, and you are more than welcome to get your eats, your tea, come and sit wherever you like and just enjoy the time that we've had remembering all these beautiful memories, Dora and Etienne and Sarah. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.